Alright, in this lesson we will continue to practice completing the square and solving equations by completing the square. Alright, for problem number 1 we're supposed to find the value of c that completes the square. Well, the number that completes the square here will be half of the middle squared. Alright, so half of 12 is 6. 6 squared is 36. So 36 is the number that would complete the square. Looking at number 2, again, half the middle squared. Half of 4 is 2. 2 squared is 4. So 4 is the number that completes the square. Okay, for the next set of problems, we're supposed to find the value that completes the square and then rewrite as a perfect square. You probably don't know what that means, but it's really simple. First of all, well, let's go back to problem number 1 for a second. We picked this number that completes the square. Alright, so for problem number 1 it was 36. So if I were to replace c with 36, the point of doing that is that if I now were to factor this trinomial, we are guaranteed to get the same thing twice. So p squared, of course, that would factor as p times p. 36, if you know it's going to be the same thing twice, it makes it real easy. You're not going to mess around with things like 9 times 4. You're going to go straight to 6 times 6. And plus 6 and plus 6. You could check your inner and your outer, but it's very obvious. Inner, you have 6p. Excuse me. Outer, you have another 6p. Alright, that makes 12. So notice it factors as the same thing twice. When something factors as the same thing twice, that makes it a perfect square. We could go ahead and write this as p plus 6 squared. And this is what they mean for when they say rewrite as a perfect square. They mean write it as some quantity squared, just like this. Okay? So real quick, looking at problem number 2 as one more example, the number that completed the square was 4. That guarantees that this will factor as the same thing twice. You could probably do it immediately, x plus 2 times x plus 2. In other words, x plus 2 squared. Okay, so that's what we're supposed to be doing for the rest of these problems. So first of all, half the middle squared. Now this one is a little extra tricky because it's an odd number. Okay, so don't make a decimal. So if I want to talk about half of 9, just put it over 2. Alright, half of 9 is 9 divided by 2, but just leave it as a fraction. So then if I go ahead and square this, 9 over 2 squared, that's going to be 81 over 4. Okay, just 9 squared is 81, 2 squared is 4, so 81 over 4. Okay, so there we completed the square. Now, that guarantees that this will factor as the same thing twice. Let's see how much space they give us. This will factor as the same thing twice, so it should be pretty easy. X squared, that's your x times x. Okay, 81 fourths, that's going to factor as 9 over 2 times 9 over 2. It's right here. Okay, when you take half the middle, that's the number that's going to show up twice. And then, of course, it's positive and positive. Okay? And that's going to be, so x plus 9 over 2 squared. Alright, this is what they wanted us to write when they say rewrite as a perfect square. They mean do this. Okay, so that was number 3. Take a look at number 4. Alright, half the middle squared. So half of this is 11. 11 squared is 121. Okay, so that's going to factor as a minus 11 times a minus 11, or in other words, a minus 11 squared. Okay, take a look at number 5. Half the middle squared. Half of this is 15. 15 squared is 225. Okay, so that's going to factor as the same thing twice. So that'll be n plus 15 times n plus 15, or in other words, n plus 15 squared. Okay, so there's your perfect square. Alright, take a glance at number 6. Alright, again, when it's odd, just put it over 2. So half of 3 is 3 over 2. And then square this, and that's going to be 9 over 4. Alright, and this is going to factor as the same thing twice. So that's going to be x plus, and you see it right here. You see it coming. So x plus 3 over 2 twice. Okay, so that's going to give us x plus 3 over 2 squared. Okay. Number 7. Half the middle squared. So half of 11 is 11 over 2. Alright, 11 over 2 squared is 121 over 4. So that's going to factor as the same thing twice, guaranteed. So this will be m. Now look at the sign. It's got to be negative. Okay, m minus 11 over 2. Okay, it's going to always be this. And another m minus 11 over 2. In other words, m minus 11 over 2 squared. Okay, and one more of these. Take a look at number 8. Alright, half the middle squared. So half of this is 17. Alright, 17 squared, was that 289? Let's see, 17 squared, 289. Okay, so because we completed the square, it's guaranteed to be the same thing twice. So that's going to be y. Look at the sign. It's minus. Okay, y minus 17. You see the 17 right there? Y minus 17 again. In other words, y minus 17 squared. Okay? It's good practice. Alright, for the rest of these problems, we need to actually solve an equation by completing the square. This negative 18 is not the number we want. We need half of the middle squared. So half of this is 3, 3 squared is 9, so this is not the right number. So just move it out of the way. Okay, so I'm going to get that out of the way by adding 18 to both sides. Okay, so that's going to give me m squared minus 6m, leave a space, is equal to 18. Now we will do half the middle squared. Okay, half of this is 3. Well, you could say negative 3, but either way, when you square it, you're going to get 9. Okay, and again, I'm doing half of this is 3, and then 3 squared is 9. Anyway, you get it. Now, the most common mistake students make is to add 9 on the left, but not on the right. Alright, we're solving an equation. Before we added this 9 in here, this blue stuff is equal. The expression on the left, the 18 on the right, these are equal to each other. That's what this equal sign means. If I put in this new number, this green 9, it's not equal anymore. Now the left side is 9 too many. So if I want the equation to still be valid, I'm going to have to add 9 on the right side as well. Now they're equal again. So don't just add something on the left and not the right. Okay. Then based on what we've learned before, we know that this is going to factor as the same thing twice. So it should be easy to factor. Notice the sign, m minus 3 times m minus 3. Meanwhile, over here, this is going to be 27. And this is m minus 3 squared is equal to 27. Now, the point of getting it in this form is so that now we can take the square root of both sides. Okay, so let's go ahead and take the square root of both sides. Don't forget your plus or minus, okay, on the solution side. That's going to leave us with m minus 3 is equal to plus or minus. Now this simplifies, alright? You should be able to do it by hand, okay? Like I'm going to do real quick. Square root of 27. This will factor out as 9 times 3. Okay, the 9 can be simplified, the 3 cannot. Because the 3 cannot be simplified, it stays under the radical. But the square root of 9 is 3. So this simplifies to 3 radical 3. Okay, so I'm going to have plus or minus 3 radical 3 right here. Okay, if I'm kind enough to let you use a calculator and you don't understand how to do what I just did, well, then you could use your calculator. Alright, square root of 27 is 3 radical 3. Okay, anyway, we have to keep going and get m by itself. So let's add 3 to both sides. Alright, when you add something to an expression that has plus or minus in front of it, please put it in the front. Okay, I'm running out of space, so I think I'm going to erase this stuff over here. Okay, so I added 3 to both sides. So now I have m equals, and then I had my plus or minus 3 root 3 going on. But then I just added this 3 to both sides. Obviously these 3's canceled out, but this green 3 is now in the front. Okay, see where it goes? And please go ahead and write this separately for me. This means that m equals 3 plus 3 radical 3, or 3 minus 3 radical 3. Okay, those are the solutions. How about number 10? Alright, if you just watched me do number 9, please pause the video and try to do number 10 by yourself. See if you can do it. You probably can. If you're not sure, watch the video, but don't copy off the video while the video is playing. Just watch it and then go back and do the problem by yourself. So this 45 has got to go. It's not the right number. So you know, we got to move that. So let's subtract 45 from both sides to get it out of there. Alright, so that's going to leave us with r squared plus 14r. leave a space, an empty space, and this is equal to negative 45. Okay, now we need to complete the square. So we will do half of the middle squared. Half of this is 7. 7 squared is 49. So I will do plus 49 right now. Okay, now if I add 49 on the left, I must immediately add 49 on the right. The most common mistake I see is students will complete the square but will not balance out that change with an equal change on the right. Right? So plus 49 and plus 49. Now the point of doing that was to guarantee that this will factor as the same thing twice. So this will factor as r plus 7 times r plus 7. Negative 45 plus 49 is positive 4. Yeah, so this is the same thing as having r plus 7 squared is equal to 4. And so now we could take the square root of both sides. Okay, don't forget that it's plus or minus 4, radical 4. Okay, so that is going to give us r plus 7 is equal to plus or minus 2. Alright, square root of 4 is 2. Now it's time to get r by itself by subtracting 7 from both sides. You go ahead and put it in the front, please. In fact, I guess I left a big enough space. I could actually just write it there now. Alright, minus 7, minus 7. Okay. Now, okay, so what we have now is r equals negative 7 plus or minus 2. Okay, yeah, I just picked up from here. R equals negative 7 plus or minus 2. Now that means r equals negative 7 plus 2, and, or I guess I should say, or r equals negative 7 minus 2. And of course I would not leave it like this. Alright, negative 7 plus 2 is negative 5. Negative 7 minus 2 is negative 9. Okay, so this is your final answer. Alright, negative 5 or negative 9. These are your two solutions. Okay, so for number 11, we need to get this 8 out of here by adding 8 to both sides. Alright, so that's going to give us n squared plus 10n, leave a space, and this is going to equal 11. Alright, gotta add that on. Yeah. Okay, so now it's time to complete the square. Half the middle squared. Half of this is 5. 5 squared is 25. So I'm going to add 25 to both sides. Please do not just add the 25 on the left. You have to add it on the right. I see that like 5 times a day in every class period. So the point of picking this number is to guarantee that this will factor as the same thing twice. So this is going to be 36. Okay, so this will be factor as n plus 5 times n plus 5. Alright, so that's n plus 5 squared is equal to 36. Alright, now that this is written as a quantity squared, I can take the square root of both sides, like this. Alright, don't forget that your solution here will be plus or minus. So that's going to give me n plus 5 is equal to, and I like to leave a little space here because I know what's coming, is equal to plus or minus 6. Alright, square root of 36 is 6. And this is what I was talking about. So now I need to get n by itself by subtracting 5 from both sides. So I'm going to do minus 5. And then we always put this in the front. So if you leave a little space, you can just write it right there. Okay? So this means, so I've got n equals negative 5 plus or minus 6. But this means negative 5 plus 6 or negative 5 minus 6. Okay, got to split it up. Alright, negative 5 plus 6 is 1. Negative 5 minus 6 is negative 11. So these are the two solutions, 1 or negative 11. Okay, this 62, got to get that out of there. So let's subtract 62 on both sides. Okay, so that's going to leave me with x squared plus 18x, leave a space, is equal to negative 65. Okay, now it's time to complete the square. So half the middle squared. Half of this is 9. 9 squared is 81. Okay, so I'm going to do plus 81 on both sides, not just the left. Got to be the left and the right. Keep the balance. The point of completing the square was to guarantee that this will factor as the same thing twice. So this will be x plus 9 twice. Alright, so 16. So this is x plus 9 squared is equal to 16. Alright, take the square root of both sides. Don't forget your plus or minus. So that will give us x plus 9 is equal to plus or minus 4. I like to leave a little space here because I know what's coming. So I'm going to have to get x by itself by subtracting 9 from both sides. But you need to put it in the front of the plus or minus. That's why I left a little space there. Okay, so that's going to give us x equals, now let's write this separately. So that'll be negative 9 plus 4 or negative 9 minus 4. Negative 9 plus 4 is negative 5. Negative 9 minus 4 is negative 13. So these are the two solutions for number 12. And that's it for this video. I hope it was helpful to you guys. I'll see you on the next video.